Of the COSATU Special National Congress at Gallagher Estate in Midrand. Yesterday, proceedings finished late at night with various factions slugging it out over the adoption of the credentials, which were both settled through a vote. Today, proceedings have been dominated by political speeches from the ANC, the SABC and SANCO. Unions supporting the expelled affiliate NUMSA and expelled General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi have vowed to raise the issue in today's proceedings, despite failing to have the matter included into the agenda yesterday. But as the political infighting continues, challenges facing many of the unions on the shop floor, such as the growing trend of casualisation, are firmly on the minds of many delegates. But we now cross to Gallagher Estate, where our reporter Mbongeni Mutua is standing by. Mbongeni, good to talk to you. So how serious is the impact of casualisation on COSATU affiliates at this point?
Well, according to the unions that we've spoken to here, all of them industrial unions, it is very serious indeed. It would seem that unions in the country right now are facing a bit of a double whammy. We've seen, of course, massive retrenchments in mining and manufacturing and so on. But it seems like casualisation is a real serious problem that unions are grappling with. Apparently, they are saying it is increasingly becoming the preferred form of employment by many companies right now. Earlier on, I managed to speak to the Deputy General Secretary of the South African Clothing Textile Workers Union. They've borne the brunt of casualisation, especially that union, and he actually put it in very stark terms that it is a serious problem. He says it's not only affecting workers and their livelihoods and their benefits or lack of benefits, but it's also contributing towards lowering the standard of living in the country and increasing poverty. At this point, we can take a listen at what he had to say to me earlier on.
It doesn't only actually kill the labour movement, but it also kills the standard of living of the society at large. The experience of that, you can see it in countries like Germany, whereby actually the German unions have shared some of the experiences with us in South Africa, that when casualisation was increasing in their country, the social standard of the German society actually watered down. As a consequence of that, that is why the German countries had to come out with the minimum wage legislation. This is exactly what we're also going for in our country.
So then, Mbongeni, does casualisation threaten the very existence of many unions?
Clearly it does, even though the union leaders are reluctant to admit, directly that, in fact, they are facing or staring at the barrel of the gun, as it were, in terms of their survival. But if you look at a union like SACAU, for instance, another COSATU affiliate, it has shrunk tremendously over the past decade. It used to be not necessarily a very big union, but compared to what it is now, I mean, it is a shadow of its former self. It is one of the smallest unions in COSATU. It organizes in retail, especially, whether it's your food chains like Pick n Pay and so on, furniture companies, clothing companies. It has borne the brunt of casualisation. I managed to speak as well to their Deputy General Secretary earlier on, Mr. Mduruzimbongwe, and he decried what is happening out there and how it's affecting the union and its membership. We can take a listen to him as well at what he had to say.
Casualisation undermines quality jobs within the sector. We've witnessed a trend where full-time permanent jobs, which were regarded as better quality jobs, being attacked and are on the decline, and their replacement by part-time jobs. In some instances, we see the emergence of freelancers, like in the furniture sector, in companies like the JD Group, and that Woolworths in particular. Full-time permanent workers were retrenched. The company wanted to do away with that category of employment, only to operate with part-time workers with no guaranteed fixed number of hours that they work. And that has a direct impact on the union's ability to organize as well.
And Mbongeni, if we look at the incessant fighting in COSATU, surely this is not helping matters.
Absolutely, absolutely. The strange thing is the union leaders themselves are saying this, they are aware of this, but it would seem that the political infighting, it has reached such heights that it's like a runaway train. They are aware that this infighting is bad for COSATU as a federation, it's bad for the unions. They even admit that it's bad for the country and attracting investment generally, because now the country has this stigma that it has labor instability because of this constant infighting which manifests itself in all sorts of ways. But it seems like they can't really stop themselves from engaging in these battles, and it's like a fight to the death. But they admit that it's definitely not good for the unions. In fact, the Deputy General Secretary of FAU, which is one of the unions that organizes vulnerable workers who are casualized in most cases, farm workers and so on, he admitted to that this is just not good for the unions. We can take a listen at what he said.
Any unstable and disunited organization will face questions of credibility and worthiness, because workers would want to identify themselves with an organization that will advance their interests, protect their rights. And you can't do that in an environment where you have so much volatility. The reality of the situation is that some of the difficulties we are facing are internally in our view, but they are also externally. To the extent that we cannot agree that we need to unite with workers as workers under the ban of a federation, and a federation that will not be a lame duck.
Right, well, we were talking there to Mugeni Mutwa, who's giving us updates from the COSATU Congress, which is underway at Gallagher Estate in Midrand.